a bit with Aisha. So she was bringing the situation on collaboration with industry and all the lessons learned and so on, and the challenges. And this is very much related to that. This is, I'm talking about value estimation. I've done some work in cost estimation, effort estimation for conventional software or web. And then now, through a project which is being funded by the Finnish government, TechIS, and it's called the FidiPro grant. We are looking at companies there who are, they wanna think, they've been deciding upon features or ideas or requirements for their products, but beyond costs. They want to think in terms of what's the value, considering short-term and long-term goals. And so came an opportunity to bring the research that I've done previously on prediction, but prediction of effort, and see how it goes with predicting value, which I'll elaborate as we go along. So the first thing is, this is our take that to remain competitive and to grow, we see that companies, and this is also in line with the thinking of the industry partners we have at the moment, that we need to change from a cost-based decision-making to a value-based, where you are balancing short-term goals, mainly and very coming from effort estimation, looking at effort and costs, to long-term. If I'm selecting a particular feature to my product, what's the impact this is going to have on my market share? And I'm not going to see it immediately. It may take a year, maybe even longer than that, to get there. But this is also a consideration that if you want to align from the business objectives all the way to the operational level with what concretely you are pushing on your products, that seems to be highly important. And again, this goes also in line with those specific companies that they are all doing value-based thinking. This one I got from Barry Beam. He called some years back an agenda on value-based software engineering. And but Barry's point of view on thinking value-based wasn't so much in terms of looking at short-term and long-term goals, but to look at, to consider when you are deciding to really bring in the critical stakeholders in the decision process, to get them discussing and coming up with what requirements to be selected, what features and so on, but also to acknowledge the different importance that requirements or defects or ideas may have into the decision. Not everything with exactly the same weight. So you have defects and defects. You have requirements and requirements, and so on and so forth. So pushing these 2 points together, we aim and to bring to the companies, initially our business partners, but going wider than that with the methodology, the framework, the process we are proposing in validation of this 3-year project, to actually provide a way in which when you have a number of stakeholders and they have, let's say, a set of features to be decided for the next release, that for each one of those features to actually have a quantification, have a probability associated with what's the value that implementing that particular feature is going to bring. And when I say what's the value, then we are going to see that value means completely different things for different people, which also links with some of the talks here and Tracy's talk on using a taxonomy. So everyone is on the same page. And yesterday Magni was also talking about the issue with what kind of effort are we talking about. This is all comes down to, let's define, let's make the definitions, the knowledge, the understanding very clear to everyone involved. Okay, so that's a very important point. These are our industry partners. So Sentinel is on the data analytics business, F-Secure, software security in Venco. They are on ERP systems, but they are all talking about companies doing software development for their products. And then we have two telecom, Ericsson and Electrobit, that recently became Bichon, who have products that use, so they have software intensive systems. And our group, at least one of the faces you well two, but he's Burak. So Burak and I, we are leading, we are working together on this project. And then we have Amin and Pilar. They are two postdocs with, as you see, as I take you through, very specific roles there. And we have Vitor, who is our PhD student, and who loves programming, and was like, that's fantastic. Because without tools, linking with Tracy and Aisha, without tools, you don't even walk, in our case, to talk to a company. They want it. So let's start with a possible scenario. Let's see, you have a company, they have a backlog of features. And here, they want to use a value-based approach to decide what features they are going to select into their existing product. A meeting, you have two stakeholders, was just for simplicity, and this is just an example. Okay, I didn't bring in here like value as per some of our industry partners. So it's just a made-up example. So they are looking at 4 features in the backlog. Very simple situation. But then, for each feature, the goal is each one of the stakeholders, for each feature that they are discussing and presenting, blah, 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 you may have pictures discussing, showing what the feature is going to look like, and so on. They have to estimate what is the impact if that feature gets selected in the product for implementation. What's the impact this is going to have upon these items? What's the impact this is going to have upon the quality of the current architecture, or the product maintainability, the team's continuous improvement in terms of their learning? If the feature gets implemented, are they going to have an opportunity to learn more? The company's competitiveness in the market, customer retention, and customer satisfaction. These are all, as I said, this is a made-up example, but these would be the factors that together represent value from the point of view of the key stakeholders making the decisions of feature selection for that particular product. Okay, so when we say value, that's the value is constrained by the particular context, and it may not even be the same for the entire company, as a previous discussion here on what does it mean to have to use a cross-company model. And then impact, we can start measuring as positive, neutral, or negative. You can use different ways on an ordinal scale, but this one seems to be all, so far, the partner companies, they are quite happy. Yeah, let's think positive, neutral, and negative. That's good, quick. Now, let's see. They are there, and just for sake of a discussion, let's suppose we have a web tool where these two stakeholders, they have their laptops and they are running a web-based tool. So you bring distribution, which means their assessment in relation to each one of the value factors and what they think, positive, neutral, or negative, can even happen before they meet to select which are the features they are going to go. They are going to go into the release. Okay, so this is the take of bringing the many advantages of having web-based development, and one of those is that you don't really need all the stakeholders physically there participating. You can split it. They can assess beforehand, and then they come and do it together. So after they went about it, we may have some visualization. So here we are integrating the results for each one of the 4 features, integrating the results for these 2 stakeholders. And using green, yellow, and red, so visually you very quickly kind of, yeah, we have quite a concentration of greens over here, given the value factors, and so on and so forth. These are, I'm taking you through the first step of the project, which is actually to bring to support for decisions that are currently taking place, but through the to support to do some data collection on decisions, what features have been decided upon in a particular meeting, and decided on positive, neutral, and negative impact. Okay, is our way to deal with a situation where there is no past data. We have to gather the data and then go into a prediction, all right? Which brings it lots of different challenges. So here, rather than looking at one feature at a time, we can just compare all the features with different types of bar charts. And the visualizations here, this is an existing tool that Vitor put together, and from the beginning was co-creation with our industry partners. Everything, even the decision on bar charts as opposed to something else. So we are complying as much as possible. Okay, the model of co-creation for them to engage. And another way to look at, you have the positive, but then you see which of the value factors is having the one with the larger area, which one has made the largest contribution, and so on. Just a few screenshots. And there is one, which one of the companies in particular, they wanted to see numbers. Well, how do I quickly see each one of the features and what's the effect? So there we display, we get the greens and subtract the reds in terms of percentages. And then we do the ranking. So visually, they very quickly see, yeah, feature 3 seems to be the one we are going to go for. But the tool is not giving you, yeah, this is the one you should select. It all comes down to those stakeholders making the final decision. And then over here, this is one screen when the meeting is over, or when they finalize using the dashboard, and then they decide which ones are going to be selected for the next release. And this is all stored with many other things, but the point here is not to give you a demo of the tool. This is to show you a process where we are starting with a tool made to measure for those companies, a bespoke solution to gather the data on their decisions, and then to move on in what I would say is really the research behind this project. And now I'll take you to this. This is a model using a Bayesian network. So the technique is a Bayesian network. And this is one of the 8 different models that I have from my past life in between New Zealand and 2 companies in Brazil. I was able to elicit these models for effort estimation, all based on expert knowledge. I had no idea I was in heaven, but I was. They would provide me with a lot of time, 3 hours a week, sometimes for months, and quite engaged, because everything that happened here, all the probabilities, all the causal relationships, they were the ones providing, and they thought, oh, this is fantastic. We are a part of it. And hence, I got a lot of time. The models, they were built from their expert knowledge, so dealing straight with project managers, sometimes 1, 2, 6, depending on the company, and then validated with their projects. So they have some past data which was used to validate the models. But the point was, this experience, and I'll explain how this links with the one now, provided me with the way to understand, first, you get getting everyone on the same page. They were the ones identifying what would mean to them, which were the factors important for effort prediction. And as you do for effort, you do for value, you do for anything else. So expert elicitation. And then what would mean for the company. Each one of these factors, they define, becomes a common vocabulary. So I'll just take you through. I'm a bit cautious about the time, so let's just do 3 at a time. Advantages. This is a technique. You have Bayesian networks being used in lots of different domains, my God. And not only software engineering, it brings a lot of richness because once you have a model, you can run what-if scenarios, what if? And then you have, with the different probabilities you are getting, that helps you to decide what you want to do. Then combining knowledge from different stakeholders represents the explicit vocabulary, which is very important, rather than each person says, what's customer satisfaction? Which is actually a factor that for all the companies, they all selected it. But for the different companies, it had a different meaning. Okay, so, and then these 3 embeds uncertainty quantification. You are thinking probabilities. You don't come with a number. It has a probability associated. So in the case of value, it means if you are using positive, neutral, and negative, so what's the probability that that particular feature will have a positive impact on neutral or negative? And then it can be used for training. Once you have a model like that, you can go wider into the knowledge creation within your organization. Not only the stakeholders that are looking after one particular product, you can apply it to other sets of stakeholders. Use exactly the same process to build other models as well. And they can be built from data, expert knowledge, or a combination. So here, on my effort estimation experience, everything was from knowledge, expert knowledge. But now we are going to do a combination of data knowledge. And just to show you, this is again a made-up example, but using the same factors as I showed you previously. Then this could be a value estimation model to be used by a particular company. And here you have the overall value. I also created these 3, just to make it simpler. But the point is, in terms of the research we have, is that for the parent nodes, through the tool, this one that I showed you before, the screenshots, you get the frequencies through collecting data for a while on the decisions that have been made, the features selected. You can see for the number of stakeholders through several meetings, you get the frequencies on what's the percentage of positives, neutrals, and negatives, which goes in here, this quantification. But once with the experts, you identify the relationships. When you go to the child nodes to identify the probabilities, that is a challenge. So Amin, one of our postdocs, he's working on the problem of semi-automatic generation of probabilities. And this is the goal. This is the endpoint. How it's going to happen, I don't know. We'll get there. And then I'll just very, very, very briefly, how we get the value factors. You interview people, 1 hour each person. You identify the factors using a qualitative technique, a la grounded theory. Then you do a focus group, they agree, the definitions are there, and we move on. To what? To use these first 2 that I showed you. From several time passes, and the companies are using it for their decisions, we gather the data on a decisions database, which is deployed with the tool. Then we work on the semi-automatic generation of probabilities, just to be able to get to the Bayesian network model, which is then validated with the companies, with the experts, and gets deployed over here. So in a nutshell, so this is where we are going, a way to value-based decision making, but going further than providing just the web-based tool support. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.